Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Burfield here in Las Vegas, and it's day 37 of this mammoth world tour of Las Vegas, and we've made it to one of the hottest new and exciting restaurants here in Las Vegas. DB Brasserie is the place that everybody's talking about right now, and the man responsible is David Middleton. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Chef, nice to see you. This is awkward because I haven't eaten yet in your restaurant, so it could be awful, and I could be saying great things and then I feel a fool, but somehow I've got a feeling that's not going to be the case.
Definitely not. I think you'll enjoy yourself this evening.
What a cool space this is. I came here actually 3 times over the last few trips when it was Valentino's, and you've revolutionized this space. It couldn't be more different.
Yes, I mean, we moved everything around a bit, moved the bar to the other side, and, Jeffrey Beers, the designer, did a good job of making it kind of a 1940s French train station meets New York City kind of thing. So it's, I think it's a good fit for Vegas, and it's definitely a good mark for Daniel.
Exactly. When you look at his food, I mean, we're talking fine dining, but it seems to me now you've got to be cool with it in Las Vegas. There aren't many places opening that are aiming for that tuxedo audience. There aren't many of those left.
No, I think, definitely the clientele and society kind of switched gears, after the recession. And I think people are still looking for some formality, but they want to be comfortable in their setting and not necessarily feel like it's a stuffy environment or that they're being having hawks circling around, so to speak, with the amount of waiters and captains that you see in the old French system before.
You've had an extraordinary career and you arrive here in Las Vegas to run this restaurant. What pressure is there on you daily to make sure this isn't a flop and that it doesn't go wrong? Because not only is the money invested, but also the name, the reputation is sort of riding on your back in terms of consistency.
This is what I love to do. So every day when I wake up, I'm always energized about the day, and I always think that, today is going to be better than the next. And one of the coolest things about this industry is that every day is a different day. It's never the same. So, there's the constant challenges change from day to day, and it is a very a daunting task, I guess, if you look at it that way, but I accept the challenge, and I think if I wasn't in this position I'd be bored. So I don't think that there's really any room for failure. There's only room for success, and that's what I hope to achieve.
I've always felt chefs are like artists in a way. It's kind of getting it right, but knowing when to stop. That's often a failure of a lot of restaurants in this town, where they take something like a scallop and then cover it in liquid that tastes amazing, but covers the flavor of the scallop. Is that something you're aware of, to always be sort of integral to the ingredient that you're cooking?
Well, I think I'm cut from the same cloth that Danielle is, and that is that he takes food and he doesn't manipulate it as much as the next person. He tries to keep things relatively simple. He may bring a new technique or a new type of twist on something, but at the end of the day, it's still cooking, it's still food, and you want the guests to be able to recognize what they're eating. And I think that's how I feel, and I believe Danielle feels the same way. So I think it's a good fit, and we're very optimistic of the food we're doing here.
I've been lucky enough to eat in many good restaurants around the world, especially in this town. I've tried to work out the mathematical equation as to how you get a good restaurant. Is it 33% service, 33% food, 33% ambience? What is your sort of equation to get it right?
Well, it's very hard to put a number on it because, like I said, day to day it changes. But overall, what we are selling is an experience. It's not just food, it's not just service, it's not just the ambiance. All 3 of those things need to work together cohesively, and if one falters, the whole thing falters. So they're all very self-dependent on it, relying on each other, and you can't really put it on one way or the other. I think you have to find that balance and see where the clientele is and adjust accordingly.
Where does your job start and end? Because there are some chefs who don't ever turn up at their restaurant, and there are other chefs who walk out before and make sure the knives are seated in the exact proper position on the table. Where does your megalomania stop?
When I wake up in the morning. I am involved in the front of the house. I feel it's important that a chef knows the ins and outs of service from front to back, because he has a better idea and understanding of timing with food, some of the challenges that the front of the house has. So it helps me with deciding on how we're going to pick something up, or how we're going to run something out of the kitchen, how we're going to plate it. All of those things factor in. It's not just about the chef being in the back and making something look beautiful. table. If you can't put it in front of a guest and have it look the same way 2 minutes later, or if there's any challenges with getting it, to fit on the table, it doesn't matter how beautiful or how well cooked something is. So I definitely try to be involved in all aspects of the restaurant as much as possible.
Chef, many of your dishes look divine and take time. I always wonder when I look around this room, I don't know how many covers there are on an average night, but there's a lot of people. How do you stay on top of who comes next and where each table is at which part of their meal? I always find that side the most fascinating, so that nobody's left waiting.
Well, it is kind of a challenge. It's kind of like an orchestra. You have almost a conductor, if you will, which we call the expediter, and on busy nights that would be myself. On slower nights, we may have someone designated to do that, and I might be on the inside helping plating and floating around. But everything comes from the front, and we have these ticket system through a printer that basically gives us all this information that we need and we require. And it's the best line and the most important line of communication from the front of the house to the back of the house. And all of these tickets have timings and course lines and what goes with what. So, I mean, once we get all of that information, then it's just a matter of how the individual in the back basically orchestrates how the restaurant flow is going to go. Sometimes we have to move a VIP up a little bit in the line, so to speak, of tickets being plated, and so on and so forth.
Where will I come in that line tonight? For example, if there were 400 people in terms of VIP, am I down the bottom end, or?
I don't know how to answer that question.
Your standard of food is fantastic. Everybody knows that Daniel would not put a bad plate in front of anybody. And of course, this isn't a town where much grows. So how do you source your stuff? Where do you get it from? Is this a daily challenge, and do you change with the seasons, with the times, and what's available on the day?
Well, yes, living in a desert does bring its challenges. It does raise prices on, sourcing ingredients, because we have to have them flown in, or what we call drop shipped, which is basically through FedEx overnighted from the East Coast, the West Coast, or Europe. So our prices are higher. So it is definitely more challenging to hit those numbers that we're supposed to. As far as changing, yes, we do change with the seasons, even though we don't really have a season in Vegas other than hot. And we do try to source locally some things, but most of our stuff does come from like Santa Monica's Farmers Market, which is only about a 3.5 hour drive from here. So
you guys work incredibly hard. I think you've got the least glamorous but the most fun side of show business in the sense that you can always have a good meal, but you have to work long hours. At this point, I mean, this is a relatively new restaurant. Have you found your rhythm now? Are you able to sleep more than 3 hours a day?
Yes, I'm getting about 5 hours of sleep now. I believe we just opened for lunch last week, so we've definitely hit our stride, I think, with dinner. We're still trying to get our footing a little bit with lunch, but, that just comes with time. So, I mean, if you ask any expert, any chef, how long it takes to open a restaurant, it takes 3 months. If a good restaurant, if you have a good chef, a good general manager, and a good backing and some support, it takes 3 months, a full 90 days to really be where you should be hitting your stride.
The last time I interviewed Gordon Ramsay, I asked him one question that he thought was quite smart, so I'll ask you the same just to fill time. I asked him how he finds people who are as dedicated and as consistent as you, people who care as much as you do, because you can't always be on top of every single plate. It would be impossible. Is that hard in this town, or is it easy?
I would say it is difficult. The dynamic in Las Vegas compared to other large food mecca cities like San Francisco, New York, Chicago, even Los Angeles, the dynamic here is most people that come to Las Vegas, even still in 2014, their primary objective is not to go to a great restaurant. Their primary objective is to come and either gamble, go out to the nightclubs, see some shows. Everybody has to eat, so obviously, we do have that percentage, but comparative to, New York City, who has 4,000 or 8,000 or 10,000 restaurants, people go there for dinner, and that's the evening. People come here and want to shove food down their throats and then go see a show. So we do compete with the nightlife of Las Vegas. So it is tougher to find good help as well, because people can go and get a job at a nightclub and make twice what they can make in a restaurant.
Yeah, last year I sat and talked to a lady after a show who was a teacher from somewhere in the Midwest who was on $40,000 a year. She came here, wore a bikini and served drinks and earned $100,000 in the first 6 months. That's This town, isn't it?
Yes, I mean that's Vegas in a nutshell. I have many friends that are females that make six figures. They work 3 or 4 days a week, and they do not have a college degree. I mean, it's crazy what this town. I mean, it stands for something. I mean, Vegas still has that. It's almost like the last city that is kind of has that American pipe dream type of mentality and opportunity.
I'm a deeply unattractive person, and I met somebody yesterday who was very cute and 22, and she said she went in a restaurant and the chef comped 8 of them just to be seen there. How does that work? How do you survive if you're comping everybody, or is it just ugly people who pay?
Well, ugly in what sense? Personality or physicality? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to take care of certain people. There's like this unspoken rule in the culinary world where, chefs kind of take care of each other because we work hard. It's a level of respect, but at the end of the day, we do charge people. I mean, we can't just, like you said, comp everyone, or we wouldn't have a restaurant. So the selection process is not really, it's subjective. It depends on the environment, what's going on that evening, and the judgment call of the select few, whether it's the chef, the general manager, the director of operations. I mean, it all comes down to who you know in this town, and that's kind of what dictates who gets comped and who doesn't, unfortunately.
This is a city based upon the American dream, really, isn't it? Anything's possible. If you've got enough money, you can get anywhere or see anything or do anything you want. And of course, places like you wouldn't exist without people like that come here for a good time. Congratulations on DB Brasserie. Beautiful room, and I'm really looking forward to the meal, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.